Sorry.
Sorry.
All right, we'll start the meeting now.
Yeah, now we're ready.
Okay, we've got the roll call taken care of. Guys, next thing is the minutes from last meeting. They went out, the August 11th minutes. Everybody should have gotten them probably 2 days ago. Anybody want to make any changes, corrections, or anything else to them? I'm not seeing anybody. If I'm missing you, just pipe up, because, you know. All right, is there a motion to approve the minutes for the August 11th remote meeting? Ron, got that second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor, raise your hand. Or okay, opposed. John, I can't see you, so I'm assuming you're voting yes.
Yes.
Okay, thanks. Sorry, I didn't realize you were off video. Are there any members of the public here tonight, Corey? Can't hear you, Corey.
I'm muted. Yeah, no, there's no one else here.
Okay, so there's no public comment. Division reports, everybody get a chance to look at those? Any questions on any of that? I'm just curious, the cameras over at the community center and McDowell, where are they being put? We have placements on them, the new security cameras?
Yeah, they've been installed. They just haven't been finalized. These are indoor, outdoor security cameras. We have about 27 new cameras at the community center, so eyes in places we didn't have before, especially on the school side. So it'll be much safer. We had some issues with our current cameras. So this is a great upgrade for us.
And where are they? Are they all monitored at the desk? Is that, in other words, the camera feeds go to the desk, or they go to the police department, or both?
No, just to us in the building. It's a software, and then I can also access it on my phone should I need to if I'm not in the building. We monitor our own, the police do not.
Okay, I was just curious how you're all dealing with it. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else on any of the reports? Leanne, the Hispanic Festival, that looks like it's moving forward pretty well, and you're about a month out of it, right?
Yeah, I'm glad you think it's moving along well.
I'm looking, I see bands, MC, and a dance troupe have been hired. Music production company have been hired.
Yep, we're that's probably half of everything we need. So yeah, we're doing all right. Yeah, I'm still looking for food trucks or food vendors. They don't have to be food trucks. I have one that I particularly liked from Food Truck Friday, but I would like some other authentic food providers. So trying to figure out the best way to do that. And then Melissa's been helping me find some artists. We have 3 artists or art related folks that have signed up so far to come. So, I mean, I can have as many as 12 or even more artists. So I'd at least like to have 10 or 12. And I'd like to have about 3 more food trucks minimum, or food vendors minimum. And if I could do that, then I'd feel pretty good about it.
I mean, you talk about like visual artists, that kind of thing?
Any kind of medium, yep.
What about ASC? They should be able to, I assume they have a subgroup of Latinx artists, you know, or something, some contact point over there.
Yeah, and that's probably where Melissa went. Yeah, and that's probably where we got most of ours, Melissa and that evening. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they got to do something to justify their existence. And, you know, food trucks, you may have the same thing. There may be an association of food truck operators. I mean, there are a lot around town. It's just very few of them come down this way.
Yeah,
like
trying to find,
Central Avenue and all that, you know, East Charlotte and Central Avenue. You know, you got a concentration. You just have to convince someone to make a trip down. And I don't even know what day the 15th is.
Yeah, it's a Friday night. And just trying to, you know, we want different types of food from different countries if we can. You know, I could fill that pretty fast, but we definitely want them to be kind of spread the wealth, if you will, to different types of Hispanic Latin foods. So yeah, it's a little trickier than I envisioned, but it's, you know, kind of a learning curve for me. So I think I get through a year of it go visit other events that are happening during that month. And then next year will be a whole lot, I'll have a whole lot more understanding, I think.
Well, the first one's always the toughest. It's just getting things off the ground.
For sure. Yep.
All right. Well, if I can think of any contacts, I will get back to you. I'm gonna go through my Rolodex and see if anybody I've dealt with before might be able to put you in touch with some folks.
Sounds great. And I'm
All right,
gonna
thank-
probably have to try to go to a couple of events that happen before hours if I'm still looking at that point, but I sure want to be filled at least by the time that month of celebration rolls around. But if I have to, I'll go to some other events.
Yeah, the problem is there aren't going to be that many community events in light of COVID that you can go to and see what food trucks are there.
Yep.
I wonder if Roldan Flores, who is the pastor of the Hispanic service at Matthews Methodist, would be a good contact for you, Leanne.
Certainly worth a try. I'm writing it down.
Give him a call
Excellent. Thank you.
and tell him I told you to call him.
Okay.
And have you put out, I mean, I assume the Matthews Diversity Council's got some involvement with this.
Yeah, I'd love for them to have some more.
But they should have info on contacts and stuff. I mean, they've got their fingers all through the community. So I'm thinking that maybe they may be able to give you some names.
Yeah, I hope that's kind of the one phone call that can kind of solve most of that, because everything else is pretty, easy for me to do. It's just those unknowns in my particular case. And I think they would be able to help with that for sure.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think. Unfortunately, while we're getting more diverse here in Matthews, we still have a ways to go.
Yep.
All right, well, thank you. Thank you for the updates. I know that looks to be the next big event that's coming down the pike, unless I'm missing something.
No, just that. And then Positively will be in November. So we're kind of creeping along with that. I'm really focusing on this other one first since it's coming up quicker. And then I can't remember if I put the Christmas lighting and the lighting in the park in the report or not, but then that'll be kind of the next new thing we're trying out for the year.
You
Yeah,
did,
it's in
that
there.
sounds good.
Park lighting on December 4th instead of a tree lighting at Town Hall.
Yeah, it's we've been working on just kind of lighting all the landscaping around the edges of the sidewalks, the bushes, the tree trunks, and then to kind of do filler and then having characters like elves and snowmen and reindeer with the faces cut out so families can stand behind it and take, have a photo op, do pictures. There's a polar bear bench that you can sit on and get your picture taken. Looks like two big polar bears standing behind you. There's deer in one section. There are soldiers in another section. There's candy cane and wreaths and that kind of thing. So also putting a, oh gosh, just left me. It'll come back to me. Anyway, also trying to bring some diversity into that fun kind of park experiences as well. So we want to make sure we cover and include as many types of celebrations as we can, and at least reference them in the same way. These are kind of fun, lighted characters and decor, nothing real serious, nothing, so I'm hoping that we can do the same and add some other items. There's actually an illuminated dreidel that I have found that I can order. And so I'm going to get that instead of trying to be all serious with certain other elements, just kind of keep the same fun character type thing. So the middle will be an illuminated tree made out of light strands, when they do them in a huge triangle or dome, if you will, or whatever, all made out of lights, cone shape. And those can be programmable. So we're looking at that. And then there'll be arches that you can walk through that are all different colors. And so hopefully it'll just be an experience for people that are going to go downtown and eat. Maybe they go there first, they walk around, they look at everything, get their picture taken, and then maybe, go have dinner or whatever. So, so we're moving in that direction. We got to make sure we have enough electricity. And then if we are indeed going to have an outdoor lighting event, hopefully we'll still be doing that then we will light the park instead of lighting the uptown tree.
And Hanukkah and Kwanzaa still are going to be represented in the park, or we're going to go do the menorah and the Kwanzaa lighting events back at the circle by Town Hall.
I think both, and Melissa might be able to touch on that, but we definitely, there's also an illuminated Kwanzaa candelabra, whatever. I found that yesterday, so that's an easy one to add, and I was excited about that. And so we'll have kind of those types of things added in and amongst all of our fun stuff, but then I think Melissa is continuing with the more formal ceremonies up at Town Hall.
We have the menorah lighting. That's the only thing that's been scheduled. That'll be on November 30th. Time and details to come as we get closer. But at the town green is where we'll have it this time. So there's more space to spread people out.
And we should do, I'm not exactly sure when Kwanzaa starts. I haven't looked at a calendar, but there is a lighting that goes with that too, as I understood it. There's an opening ceremony in effect, if I understood it correctly. And that's something we probably also want to cover, just if we haven't already.
Right.
We don't have any plans yet, but it's something we can look into probably, if not for this year, then maybe for the next year.
Yeah, I mean, once again, we're trying to be inclusive here and to knock off, a major event and major grouping, at that time of year just doesn't seem to be the right thing, at least to me.
Mm-hmm.
Are we still going to do the decorating contest?
I haven't even thought that far yet. I mean, I would like to. My hope is that we have an assistant in place at that point. It's kind of been my biggest concern is that I don't have my other person.
Yeah.
So a lot of things that person did, like positively in the finest Fido contest. Although I think I did the decorating contest last year because it was COVID and that was the one thing we could do. I'd like to, yes, is the short answer. I hope I have a little bit of assistance by that time. That'll make it a little bit easier. So yeah, that was fun. I'd like to see
fun.
involved.
And Leanne, we haven't talked about it, but I will share. A comment was made to me. If we can make it snow again, we would all be heroes.
Mm-hmm. Right, duly noted. Maybe I can have it snow from the top of the stage at Stumptown Park.
Matthew's Playhouse does have a snow machine. You may want to get a hold of Evan and see what you can do with him.
Yeah, and we bought a couple years ago because I always hated to borrow that thing.
We have our own.
So we do have them. Yeah,
We've got two of them.
Heaven forbid we should test them outside or in the community center one day. Yeah, that'll be fun.
Just do it unannounced. It'll make it even more fun.
Exactly. For just any random reason.
That's it. And Leanne, you mentioned the outdoor concert series. You're not getting people heat college football, but obviously COVID's got to be having a major effect on that too, because while some people are going back to do things, there's still a large group of people that are being fairly cautious.
Very much. You don't hear about it as much outside as you do in indoor things, but it has just been unbelievably hot out there. I just about passed out and I was just sitting there. It just has been crazy humid. And then, college drop-off started with parents. And so that was one of our weekends when that seemed to be at one of the larger weekends for college drop-offs. So the heat and college and definitely football affects us every year. Interestingly enough, we tried to keep people spaced out in the park, but with the loss of the big tree behind the stage, half of the field is in burning sun now. So they're all on the left side, no matter what. So at least until the sun goes all the way down. So yeah, several things are definitely affecting the crowds. And I think maybe next year we should look at there's another town, I don't quite remember who, maybe Pineville, who's going to do April, May, June, and then take a break in July and August and do September, October. And that way you're skipping the hot months. I've never been taking breaks in the middle because everybody kind of loses their momentum. But at this point, maybe I'm just getting older, but I'm like, oh yeah, it sounds like a great idea now. So we'll take a big break in the middle during the heat and see if that helps us.
Thank you, appreciate it. Anybody else have any questions for, I know Charles is sitting there quietly, although his report is pretty comprehensive. Anything you want to tell us, Charles, that not already written down, you want to share with us?
Everything is pretty straightforward. My only decision that we have to make within the next week or so is to whether or not to offer our family fun night series. And right now I'm leaning towards kind of doing it month to month. I don't think it's ideal to have a game truck night just due to COVID right now. So I'm planning to maybe cancel October and then revisit the November event, probably early October. So, but other than that, just staying busy with gym activities, gym rentals, and programs.
Well, yeah, Charles, any of these family events, we're dealing with a population that can't be vaccinated right now, which has got to be a major concern.
Exactly.
If once a vaccine is made available to 12 and below, that should give us an opportunity to open up. And I'm curious, I assume the town has no policy about vaccinated versus unvaccinated. It's purely an honor system. Is that right? How they're dealing with attendance and events?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, it's right now, the only requirement is just face coverings indoors. But other than that, we can't exclude individuals who have not been vaccinated.
I didn't think you could, but obviously it adds a total layer of complication to everything that you're going to do, indoor or outdoor. And I understand the problem.
Yep.
But thank you. Appreciate it, Charles.
No problem.
Anybody else have any questions for anybody on division reports? If not, we'll go to Corey's director's report. You're muted, Corey.
Sorry. I see, well, Doug Rose he joined the meeting and I wasn't sure if he wanted to speak or was just listening.
If Doug wants to comment on anything, we'll give him an opportunity, certainly.
Well, I'll just bring you forward. I sent you a text, Doug, but I'm not sure if you got it.
All right. Well, if he wants, he'll pipe on. If he wants to do something, he'll pipe up. If he can hear us, he's welcome to do something now. But I assume he wants to talk about the Veterans Memorial, and we're going to go into that a little bit in old business anyway.
Yeah. So first update is again a big thank you to this group working through the Stumptown Park Veterans Memorial Park project. I'm sorry, just got a message from Debbie. Debbie may be jumping back in here in a second. So yeah, thank you. It certainly was an awesome project, but one I know it was one that was a little lengthy, but thank you for all your hard work with it. Next steps, I have re-engaged with Stuart. We did feel, we being myself and Hazen, felt that it was, Stuart was the group that's most intimately close to this project, familiar with it. It's certainly worth just moving forward with Stuart for design of, forming the construction documents for it. So getting the price from Stuart, hopefully by tomorrow. And thought is it will be on the agenda on Monday to hopefully move forward with Stuart as the engineering firm to move forward with the construction documents.
Is that for funds in order to pay them for the next phase?
Yes. So I guess what we expect the amount to be, Hazen could just enter into an agreement without board approval, but given what this project is, certainly wanted to bring it to the board. But then, the other part is we didn't allocate any money for it in the budget. So the board would have to appropriate dollars for it. So that's the next step of that. And then we'll certainly go from there. We have talked a lot about the schedule for that, the past couple of weeks. If I had to guess, it would be, sort of to lay out the steps, certainly next is creation of the design documents or the construction documents. Then there will be some staff review, which always adds a week or so, just as we look at it. Some other people sort of critique it, make sure we have it right before it goes out to bid. And then it is the bid process. So it'll be likely 30 days. The RFP out, set a bid opening date, select the vendor, may take a week or so, a little negotiating until we meet a price we can both agree on. And then the board then would approve budget for the project. And then once the contractor is on board, then the contractor and the staff would then work to create a construction schedule. So with that being said, best guess is roughly this January or so, maybe having a contractor on board. So between now and Christmas, working through the design document process and the bid process. And that January date is one that where it's, if everything goes right. So again, the dog park is open. I think I shared with most of you before the meeting that we've already had some repair needs, energetic people wanting to express themselves in the park, creating a little extra work, but we're gonna make it happen. We're gonna get it fixed. But it's been very popular, a lot of comments through social media, and then I've also gotten a number of emails. People have sent me pictures of them out there with their dog. And then they gave me some suggestions about things we need to do, which, I love it. We'll take it. I'm just glad that people are enjoying it. And we finally have that thing open and available. So with that, keeping this thing rolling, the next project is Uten Pottery. I think I shared with the group that we did receive funding in this year's fiscal budget to begin certainly working through the design process, and then a couple of dollars that could then go toward construction. So I actually met with Paula Lester today just to really talk through what we're going to set as goals, for the project. To then engage some, I guess, people that specialize in museum design and sort of get the vision together, and then take the vision to whatever firm we work with to create these construction documents. So that one is really just kicking off. Not a whole lot of, I guess, activity right now other than, conversations, but there is energy behind it. We do feel it's one that, once it does get going, will again be fully supported by the community. And people will also, just like the dog park, begin to ask, okay, when is it going to be done? So that's exciting. Tourism grants. It's tourism grant season. I did get your response. Thanks, Susan, agreeing to be on the subcommittee. So I am going to ask again, is there anyone that wants to be part of the subcommittee that would review the applications, make a recommendation? Well, no, I'll take that back. Just review the applications, sort of help rank or score each of the applications, then brought back to the entire advisory committee. And then the entire committee makes a recommendation to the town board as far as amounts that each nonprofit could receive. The submission deadline is September 27th. So looking, say, 2 weeks out from the 27th. And I'll send another email with specific dates, but think about it. If you want to be on the subcommittee, or if you're able to be on the subcommittee, we'd love to have 2 or 3 people, or at least 3 people, look at it, and then be able to share what their thoughts were, with the entire group.
Sandy and Harvey have sat on it a number of times in the past, and neither one is here tonight. I'm going to stay out of it because even though I'm not actively involved with the Playhouse, I still have at least an apparent conflict of interest on that. So I'm going to keep my hands out of that thing.
Gotcha. Okay. Think about
and
it.
I also understand that the pot of money is a little more than last year. I think we're at 75 to 80,000 right now. Is that right? I know it was a higher figure than we had last year.
I'll need to
I
double
know you
check.
told me, and I can't remember what it was. I saw 75, but for some reason, an 81 figure is sticking in my head, and I can't figure it out.
81 is in my mind. I'm going to say it's 81,000 that we're giving away.
Right, and this was based on, at least according to Renee in the Matthews Beacon, they're working off that 5% of the tourism fund, the accrued tourism fund being put into this every year as opposed to the old days when they just kind of picked a number. So that's a good thing. Unfortunately, next year they take a hit because of COVID effects, but right now it's sitting fairly pretty.
And the board did agree to keep it at the current level. So the 81,000 is not an increase. It is the same, funding level that pot was last year. And so then we'll likely look closer at that formula FY23.
Do we have any leftover funds from last year that didn't get used because the events couldn't take place?
No, the group that did return dollars was Kiwanis, and they did not have their race. So they gave back I think it was $1,800 that this group awarded.
I was under the impression that we were allowing them to keep the money if they were doing alternative COVID safe programming in order to allow them to do that. In other words, Zoom, anything on the internet, Zoom kind of deals.
Yeah, we did. And all the other groups figured out a way to, make it happen, except for the race. They just couldn't.
Yeah, we didn't want to, the thought was you didn't want to have to punish these people because a lot of them had incurred some costs, at least for these events that they had to cancel. So,
yeah. Okay. And that's all I have, other than maybe responding to any questions you guys have.
I've got one, Corey, as I always do. Have we thought about maybe a photo contest at the dog park? Maybe a random winner gets something like a gift pack from a local pet shop. We can take some, $50, $100, whatever, put it in there. But just to get people to send us photos, we can put them up on the website and use that to publicize the dog park.
Okay, we could certainly, look at that. Actually, I'm pulling up a picture.
As opposed to, the best dog photo, because then you got to get a group of judges and all that other nonsense. It just seems that if you share it, you're automatically entered in either a gift card or some supplies to, PetSmart or whatever.
Yeah, we certainly look closer at that. I did want to share this photo. The dog that's photoed on the dog park rules is the winner of the Matthews Finest Fido. Leanne, was that last year or 2 years ago?
It was 2020. Yeah, we had that contest, even though we didn't have positively.
Yeah. So yeah, we did incorporate that into the rule sign. Thought that was pretty cool. Well, yeah, I'm one that loves photos, and anytime I love pictures, I have a lot of pictures of my dogs. Not as many of my dogs as my kids, but it's pretty close.
I'm just trying to think of, while there's a group that knows about it, like everything else in Matthews, 60% of the town has no idea what's going on within its borders, and anything we can do to get the word out would be better.
Yeah.
That's a great idea. I mean, it really doesn't cost anything to do it either.
I love the idea, Howie.
But I'm not sure how Ryan and Tara might feel about it. They're probably happier with the dog park not being overrun.
More the merrier, more to play with.
And we have it. It's split for two different sizes, right? Small dogs and medium and large, right? That's how we thought we did.
Yeah, it's 25 pounds and under, and 25 pounds and over 25 pounds.
That's great. I think it's a great use of PRCR Halsey too, because we still have a ton of room out there, a ton of acreage out there that we're not going to be able to do anything with for a while.
And those that bike, activating this side is also additional parking. You can access the trails from the dog park side to relieve some of the pressure, from the Phillips Road side that is consistently packed.
What's next for that park?
Well, it's going to come down to money. I do think, we were conscious about, making this decision to build the dog park, understanding that when we built out the entire park, there will be sunk costs, like the dog park would move.
Right.
And so it was talked about and just agreed without a definite timeline on when we can develop the entire site. Let's go ahead and activate it and get it going. So now with that, the next phase, in my opinion, is it would have to be adding or building the water feature, the playground, and expanding the pond, or actually creating the pond, which would essentially be 75% of the entire project. So you could just say next phase is just building the thing,
Okay.
but that comes with money, and so that's the tough part. It
I
would
mean,
be tough to.
I realize things are a little strange, but there was talk at least a couple of years ago about a bond issue for all these park projects and other things being put on the ballot. Obviously, it's not going to make it this year, but has that been discussed, or has that just been put in the deep freeze?
Now it's been discussed internally. We have just a department head staff meeting all day in about 3 weeks, where we're going to talk about, well, a lot of things, but that being one of them. And then there's a planning conference in February. Now, that may make it to the planning conference agenda, but the board is going to set that agenda and sort of lay out what they want, to talk about. I certainly hope that that's something that we begin to have that discussion about, is, bond dollars to build that park.
Thanks. It just seems that we're going to spin our wheels without a bond issue. We are going to be ever spinning our wheels on PRCR Halsey, on the on the 25 acres on Pleasant Plains. There are 3 or 4 projects in the hopper that are not going to get funded anytime soon without some major undertaking.
Yeah. So on some level, that's call it a good problem to have these projects that you've identified. Now, of course, the challenge is the money. So yeah.
Anybody else have any questions for Corey? I'll keep my mouth closed for a minute. No? Okay. We'll go on to old business. Corey had talked about, town council was incredibly receptive to the proposal that we put before them. They went right for it. They had some discussions. Jeff Miller and Renee Garner would like to see some more removable benches installed, along the perimeter. We put 2 removable benches at the center memorial arch that face out in the park. They were talking about that. Stewart came up with a brilliant idea of when those 2 removable benches are removed, they would actually be able to be placed to the left. There's a memorial garden that had 1 bench in it, kind of where the playground is in that area. And they came up with the idea of setting up so you can put those 2 benches over there around one on each side of the existing bench when they need to be moved. So you only have to move them, maybe 10, 15 feet. That went over well. John Urban also in the whatever we're going to put between the memorial and the old Exxon station. John Urban is pushing for something, that is a visual blockade as well as a sound blockade. And those were marching orders that I believe are going back to Stewart when they come back with the design. But otherwise, they were all on board. Mark Tufano did appear. He presented his own video of his own proposed design for the park to be funded by donations to the Hull from the Veterans Association. And for the most part, it involved what he likes to call a good deal of vertical delineation. He really wants that thing set off so that it's a separate entity altogether. But apparently that did not, the town council did not appear to express any interest in that. But, things can happen in the design stage. I just wanted to let you know, but they really honed in. There was not a lot of nitpicking about what we'd recommended. They just wanted to fine tune it. So thank you. Y'all did it. I know it was a difficult task, and it really was one of the most smoothest things that went over there. They talked about it for a while, but there was really no rancor. It was more or less everybody getting their 2 cents in and getting behind us. So thank you for that. Corey, lost and found boxes. I know you were gonna get, somebody was gonna go to Home Depot and see if we could just get something we can just shove in the ground on the Greenway.
Yeah, and I will jump right on that. I will add one other thing with the Veterans Memorial real quick. Doug and I had some email conversations, and we did sort of land on Veterans Day, having some enlarged illustrations of what the conceptual design was, the approved conceptual design, having those available during the ceremony as sort of, call it a kickoff of the project. Again, without having a schedule created yet, another way to just let people know that this is something that is going to happen here in the near future.
Right. And Doug had suggested that. Doug, I know you're here. I don't know if you can hear me. If you want to throw anything.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me?
I hear you. Can't see you, but I can hear you.
Okay, great. I just want to give, first of all, my appreciation to Parks and Recs for the coordination and everything that you guys were doing. I think the Board of Commissioners meeting went over extremely well. We're very happy with it. The only thing, like I was talking to Corey and to Hazen, was it's going to be a long process before this thing gets completed, but is there something like, how people put the shovel into the dirt and throw the, cut the ribbon for the breaking of the ceremony, if that could be done for the Veterans Day, with the again, with the concept that it's going to be a while coming, but that way people know that the park is official. And Veterans Day, when they usually do a big celebration out there, might be a great opportunity to do that. So I appreciate any consideration for that.
And Doug, thank you for showing up at the meeting, because they certainly wanted your input. They were looking for it, and going, backing the same plan, I think made a tremendous difference with town council.
Again, I appreciate what you guys did, reconsidering the different motions and finally going through that. I think at the end of the day, with those removable benches and being able to relocate those will make everybody happy when it comes to being able to use the park for other events. So I appreciate it once again.
Okay, any other old business? Rosedale Cemetery, has anything happened there? We're still basically where we were, a few months back.
Yeah, we're honestly, I have not visited in, I'll say, since our meeting last month. So I imagine progress with the actual the complex is continuing. I think they were, as far as the cleanup, I'm going to say they were done. We haven't bought the sign yet, as far as I'm aware of. And there will be at least one, maybe more than one sign identifying the cemetery and identifying the entrance to it that our planning department and also the Historical Foundation are sort of working together on. Actually, I'll reach out to see if there's any progress with that. I think that's the next step, installing the sign. But I'm guessing that they're waiting for that construction to get maybe a little further on before installing that.
Yeah, I thought we were talking about putting some signage, some historical information at the cemetery, somewhere in the cemetery itself. And we could do something very similar to what was done on the Crestdale Greenway in those signs. If you haven't seen them, they look fantastic.
Yeah.
They're a really nice touch explaining what you're near. Visually, they're very attractive.
Yeah, I do think, let me confirm. I know that, the sign that I'm recalling is one that, it gave a brief description of the cemetery, not in a, elaborate, I guess, description of the history of it. But yeah, let me confirm to just, I guess, report back to this group what is going to be on the signs. I know some identifiers and a brief description. Let me see if there's going to be something.
Right, and also some directional signs to let people know what's there. Because unless you already knew it's there, there's no way you figure that out.
You will not. No.
You can't see it from really there's no vantage point standing outside that you can see it without having to go in a ways.
Yeah. And one of your other questions was about the lost and found box. Scott is on that one. He's not on the call, but when we talked about it, we landed on, hey, see what's already built. Maybe it's Lowe's, Home Depot, some type of box that could be installed. I think we're going to install two, one near calling it the juncture, where one way you go to, man, I just blank. You go right in one direction and you go left in the other direction towards Squirrel Lake Park.
I'm thinking we can do something simple as a mailbox. Just put lost and found on it. You've got the mailbox to post, and you're ready made and done.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we're definitely looking at something that is not going to be this wild new invention. But yeah, just a box, understanding that it's going to be dumped every time it's full, likely, or say within every 45 days or so. Yeah, it would call it a nice little convenience. People that do lose things along the Greenway. But yeah, nothing elaborate. We'll find something simple and install it.
Okay, anybody else have any old business? If you're not on visual, just put the little hand icon or pipe up so we can know. If not, I'm sorry, who's that?
I just said nothing here.
Okay, sorry. I guess that's new business then. Corey, any new business that you have?
Melissa has some new business.
All right, Corey, can you share which one to do first? The mural?
You tell me.
Let's do the mural first. So this is the Crestdale Heritage Trail mural that Michaela designed. This was with her application. Essentially, she will be presenting this design again Tuesday for the public input meeting, but I wanted to also open it up to y'all so you didn't feel like you had to attend another meeting. But if y'all have any feedback, anything, I'll walk through it and then just shout out any ideas or things that you'd like to see or whatever. So this is a long stretch of road from Crestdale Road to where it connects to the Greenway on Matthews Chapel Road. So imagine this as kind of segmented and broken up. I think there's also a plan of adding the bike pedestrian symbols in between sections. The mural itself is maybe 6 feet wide. And Susan is still working on that dashed white line, but that would essentially be beside it as well, but separated from the mural itself. The Tree of Life would be towards the Crestdale Road side. So it would be positioned up there and kind of connect onto the sidewalk there. So there is continuity and connection there. And then it would flow into different sections of this kente cloth, so a traditional African print. But I know Michaela has been doing a lot of research into the different cultures that are represented in Crestdale. That was one thing that we got some feedback about from Commissioner Whitley, was just trying to have something that represents lots of people. So even a simple change of the pattern or just the colors itself, you know, maybe the colors represent the flags from different countries. So that's what she's trying to do some research on. We are somewhat limited on what colors can be used. They have to be more muted, neutral tones, just because it is on a road. So there is that to take into consideration. And of course, anything design-wise will go through Susan, the town engineer, for her approval as well, before even being presented to y'all again, or the board, for final approval. So if y'all have any input, suggestions, things that you'd like to see represented in this mural, I'd love to hear it from y'all. And the meeting's not until Tuesday, so if you don't have anything to say about it tonight, no pressure. You can let me know later. But I'll open it to y'all.
Hey, it's John Gatlin. I like it a lot. I understand the colors could change. I like it.
Okay. Thanks.
Melissa, what's the length? You mentioned the width is going to be about 6 feet, but what's the proposed length of this thing?
Oh, I'd have to look for exact, but I mean, it's close. It's like, I want to say 500 feet.
Wow.
So imagine like 10-foot sections. I could be way off, but I think I think it's something like that. Let's see if I can measure it on Polaris real quick.
No, I'm just curious, because you mentioned it's gonna have to be broken up at points, correct?
Yeah,
Lengthwise?
it'll be in sections. Yes. Yeah, it's going to take some time. I think she has a plan of a whole crew coming to help. Of course, the original idea was to be able to get the community involved in this, but it's going to depend on COVID and how things are going. But I think we could still invite the community to be a part of it whenever we get to that point. So that'll still be good.
And also, is there going to be a fixative or something to preserve it? I know like Black Lives Matter, when they put those in downtown areas, you had issues of, traffic was destroying it. But obviously,
Yeah.
since it's on the road, you're very limited in what you can put down.
Right. So the good thing is there's not a lot of traffic on this road. And one of the issues with the Black Lives mural that Michaela was actually a part of that. And she said that there was moisture and water that got underneath the sealant. So that's why it didn't hold up. So there will be a protective coating and sealant put on top, but there also has to be like a grit that's mixed in with it. So that way it's not this big slippery slope there. But the sealant should help protect it. Like something that we use similar to what's on the road hump mural here on McDowell. That has held up really well. Granted, it had 10 months of no traffic on it for the most part, but since then, since school's been back in session and everything, it has still held up really well. And that was just a few coats of sealant on top of it. So it will have a protective coating on top of it.
Thanks. Yeah, it'd be a shame to have this done and have it destroyed in a year or two's time, Thank you.
Agreed. Sure. Anybody else have any input or comments? All right, we will move on. And again, feel free to reach out to me, send me anything if you think about it later. The meeting's not till Tuesday, so I'll share it all with Michaela. And Corey, if you could put up the next. So the next thing I have to share are potential locations for the outdoor sculpture gallery. And these are just some locations that we've preliminarily, that's not a word, but we have set up and identified. Live from Public Works and I walked through downtown Matthews. I had already come up with a list of some potential locations, but then he kind of gave some new ones. And then I want to hear from y'all if y'all have any ideas on other locations, or if you have any thoughts about the ones that we picked. We only proposed doing 7 locations to start with, just as a good foot in the door. And all of these are in the downtown footprint. So that way pedestrians can essentially do like an art walk and do a tour and see all of them. So I had originally thought about the planters that are outside of Town Hall, those pretty flowers, putting sculptures inside of those before they even built the planters. But seeing how nice they look, they're not super deep. I think it would take away from the flowers to put them there. So Life had this idea of putting them in this fenced in area in front of the column. So it would be, imagine that front fence lowered, we could cut it and then it's just bolted on. So then reattach it. So that way it's lower and then create a concrete pedestal off of a couple steps. So it's also raised and there's 2 columns there. So it would be 2 sculptures. So somebody would have to submit matching pieces or a set. So that's one option. And then if that didn't work, if that was going to be too expensive, then the next option would be in that landscaped area that's shown in that second picture. It's probably hard to see on your screen, but essentially if you're looking at Town Hall, there's 2 flower beds on the sides of the brick walkway that lead up to the main entrance. This would be on the one on the left. There's only 1 light post, whereas the other one has light post and a light and flagpoles. So there would only be 1 there. So we wouldn't do both of those options as far as 1A and 1B, but we would pick one of those. Again, open to anything. And another option at Town Hall, if we wanted to add another one, would be where we put the Christmas tree, essentially. And so that would just be a 10-month location. So it would come down before the tree goes up, and then a new sculpture would go up in January when the tree comes down. Life was looking into what the diameter of the tree was, because we would also want to make sure that it fits inside, the base itself would fit inside of the tree. So that way that wouldn't have to change. The next one is one of the raised brick planters that's on Trade Street, right outside of Pizza Peel. There are 3 brick planters there, and there's only one that doesn't have a tree in it. So it looks kind of funny, and it's just screaming for a sculpture in the middle of it. So that is a potential location. Another one would be in front of the old ATM. That's next to Grace O'Malley's. Pending owner approval, we would have to clear out some of that garden space, put a sculpture there. The next one is also pending owner approval outside of the Masonic Lodge by Stumptown. There's that little area in front of the bushes, just on the other side of the sidewalk, so it's not in the right of way. And we would just have to be conscious of, I know that area, there's a lot of cords and hoses and things run across there for Matthews Alive connecting to that building. So that would just have to be taken into consideration too, as far as placement. The next one is at the Greenway entrance at South Trade Street. Where the arrow is pointing, it's kind of in a little hole, so a taller base would have to be made. This would be kind of an entrance to the Greenway, and then also just kind of to that side of Matthews. It's not the best area, but we wanted something down on that end of town, and there wasn't anything on the other side of that Greenway entrance. There's like a big boulder, but there's a lot of tree hanging over. Didn't want to put it on that Greenway section right there, because then people are required to get off their mowers, the county that mows. You know, and people don't like to do that. So we're not trying to make too much more work for anybody in the long run. And then the other identified location is outside of the Matthews Community Center, either in front of the building or even on the side of the building. We have a mulch area where there's a couple sitting benches where nobody sits, because they're tiny benches. So it's a great place for a sculpture. But I wanted to hear from y'all if you have any thoughts, comments, feedback about these proposed locations. If you have ideas on other locations that we should look at to see if they're possible, any of that.
I love the idea of either outside of the Pizza Peel or where the ATM was, so traffic can see it, because traffic is usually so slow through there.
Yeah.
I just think it would be a whole lot more visible by a whole lot more people in one of those places. Personally.
Agreed. And I agree. And I had identified a couple other spots on Trade Street closer to the road, but was told safety wise, you know, they may distract from pedestrians, as far as like cars being able to see them. And so like around the crosswalks, we couldn't put them on any of those bump outs, because of right of way of traffic, just seeing, I think just general traffic safety.
Is that why that one
reasons.
spot's empty right there at the railroad track before you get to Carolina Beer Temple?
Like the planter area?
Yeah.
Probably. I know also anything that's close to the railroad track, then we have to get permission from the railroad, which is difficult, and could take a lot of time.
Yeah.
So we're looking for a beginning easy locations. And the idea is that this will grow. So these are just the first locations that we could get approval for. We could dig and create the mounds or the bases at without a lot of issue or complications with wires or water or anything electric like that. And then grow to expand it.
I really like these. This is exciting. These are great areas. I agree with the concept of just trying to find at least some locations that are high profile, but there's also something kind of eclectic about locations that aren't as obvious from the street, which kind of makes the notion of a walking tour more fun. You get to kind of explore versus just see something you see in traffic. So having both types of locations are really cool to me.
Thank you.
Melissa?
Yes.
I've got the concerns about the town hall sites and the Matthews Community Center, and that you literally have to be going to the buildings to see this thing to know it exists. They're both kind of out of the way. You're not going to be going down to town hall unless you're going to town hall of the library generally, or using the theater down. I really like the idea of putting things on Trade, or maybe John, right in the center of town where they can be seen, and there'll be an attraction to get people to go there. Town hall is great, but I really think we're going to kind of be burying those things to some extent if we do that. And community center the same way. Years ago, when the bump outs were put in, it was our understanding, and Corey may remember this. This goes back that they were being put in so that art could be installed at the bump outs. That was part of the purpose of it. If they're saying now we can't for safety, but way back when, that was an original plan for those concrete bump outs on Trade Street.
Yeah, you're right. It was an idea. And then when they really got into the construction of it, as I understand it, hard structures like that, NCDOT just frowns on it. And, you really can't install it that close or in the right of way. Same conversation with the raised intersection. There were some ideas about some plants or some things to sort of form a median, or things that could be in a median. And that sort of lent itself to the same conversation. Didn't want things physically, in the road. So yeah, it was a thought early on, but then the roadblocks really being NCDOT.
Yeah, everything has to be kept 8 feet from the face of the curb, and you have to avoid tree roots, which were 2 big reasons that were kind of shot down on those bump outs, because that really limits the location where we could actually put them. And I'm hoping as far as town hall, maybe the addition of Crestdale Heritage trailhead there, more pedestrians will be there, and essentially it would be a huge art walk. And we would advertise existing pieces too, not just the rotating sculptures, but make a big map of all of it, and people would be able to access it. So even if they're not intentionally going to locations, it will hopefully draw them in if that's what they're looking to do.
Do they want everything in one spot, or can we space this art out within a defined geographic area? They talk about a sculpture garden, which leads me to believe that everything is pretty much in one spot.
What do you mean?
They said they want a sculpture. In other words, I think of a sculpture garden, I'm thinking about a small space with a lot of sculpture.
Not a garden, a gallery.
A gallery, okay.
Yeah, no, it's a gallery. So the idea is that it's spread out, so that way people will experience it in different locations, not all at one place. No, I definitely want it spread out. And so we were trying to pick locations that made sense, that were essentially in a loop. So if you maybe started at the Greenway at South Trade Street and then walked up Trade Street towards town, you could stop at the community center. There's already public art there, and there's a sculpture outside of the art center. And then continue up Trade Street, go back to Trade Street, go on up, and then see the one at the Pizza Peel, go down to Town Hall, see that, go up to KP Park, see the horse sculpture. You could even then continue into North Trade Street and see the windsock, and then come back up Trade Street, see the existing Love sculpture, and then potentially one at the ATM, and then continue across John past Stumptown, where we have the veteran sculpture, and then we have the public display of affection sculpture, and then maybe see one at the Masonic Lodge if we get permission there. And that would essentially bring you back towards the Greenway for a big loop.
Like a bar crawl.
Art crawl.
Could there be one where we were gonna do the sunflower artwork that became tropical and ended up not doing it?
At the Malone building?
On that wall, yeah.
I thought about it by those planters, but we
Yeah.
never did find out who owns them. And then if we do end up putting a mural there, which is still on the plans, it may take away from that artwork and maybe be
Right, okay.
competing, but I mean, it's still something to look into until we have a mural planned for that place. That could be a location.
I mean, that's another location that can be seen in traffic as well.
Yeah, I like
I
that.
mean, I guess you can see all of them in traffic.
Anderson, South Carolina has something similar, and at each sculpture, included into the fact that it's part of a tour and it's one of X. So sort of like when you stop to engage with one, you now realize it's part of a gallery. So you're inclined to either continue on or at a later point in time think, hey, I want to go do the whole thing. So again, I like the notion of some of them being sort of obvious and some of them being less obvious, and you sort of getting pulled into the gallery.
I'll have to check out theirs. That sounds cool.
Yeah, Melissa, too, eventually, I don't know, the Exxon station's still up for sale, as I understand it, but at some point, someone develops that, there's that area right that fronts on Trade. We may be able to talk to them at some point and get something put there.
Yeah, that could be cool.
Yeah,
Sounds
kind
good.
of like the bank did over at North End.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. That'd be great.
Yeah, because I mean, we've got, I love the idea of a loop through the heart of downtown. Go see the artwork, wander around. Merchants will love it because anything that will bring more traffic in makes them happy.
Absolutely. Yes. Great. Well, that's all I have. And again, these aren't set in stone yet. This is just the initial identification, and we're gonna locate some of these sites just to see if we can even dig or put a base there. So some of these may not even work out.
And
But
that Crestdale Road mural meeting, is that live only or live and Zoom?
so it's in person, and I am going to ask Lori if she can create a Zoom link for it. I'm waiting to hear back about their Wi-Fi capabilities there. But if anything, I thought maybe I could still stream it from my phone through the Zoom meeting and then still allow for public contact. It's late, y'all. What am I trying to say?
They've got Wi-Fi there because I know he's got smart boards in the child care center, which require a good deal of Wi-Fi. So you should be okay.
Yeah, well, I'm not sure if we're in the fellowship hall or if we are in the sanctuary. So that's the information I'm waiting to hear. And that'll determine what technology is readily available, but it should be fine. I'm hoping to have a streaming option just because not everybody's comfortable with being in person. I think it's important to have. I'll publicize it if we do get the Zoom link, which should be tomorrow.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Mhm.
Corey, any other new business?
Nope, I think that is it.
I got one more thing. We had talked last meeting about maybe having one or two alternate members so that we deal with the fact that, we've had members who've had some illness where they've been away for a period of time and come back, also can't attend. I know other committees in town do have alternate members. The rule basically is they participate in discussion, but unless they're filling in for an active member, they can't vote. That's it. And I don't know, did you talk to Lori about that or?
I did, and I got a list of, we do have some applications in hand. I believe there were 3 people that were interested in the Parks and Recreation Advisory Committee. So what I can do is, if the group is okay with it, next month, I'll get you the applications ahead of time, and then maybe next month, maybe read through and sort of say, hey, I think it's a good idea to add 1 alternate or go ahead and add 2.
Yeah, I'd like to propose that we take 2 alternates. That way, it's not a problem. Also, the deal would be like other committees, as full members roll off, the alternates would roll into their place, and then you'd be basically replacing the alternates as openings occur, unless something else. happens, but it works well. I know on planning, it works very well. I assume that most other committees are doing something like it. So, you know, I don't know how you guys feel about it.
I
think
like
it's a
that
good idea.
approach. Yeah, I like
Yeah.
that approach, Howie. It's kind of like having people on the bench at the ready.
Right. In other words, tonight we'd ideally, instead of 5 of us, it'd be at least 7 of us, you know, if that worked out. So that would help some. So, Corey, what do we have to do? Can we just do this ourselves? Does Lori, town council have to, I just don't know what the mechanics are. There's no point in looking at applications until we're given permission to do it, if we need permission from somebody else.
Well, when I brought it up, it did not seem as though it was an issue to add alternates.
Okay.
So what I would do is, let me confirm that. I don't think an alternate, well, before I even say an alternate, does not need to be appointed by the town board. Let me confirm. But
I think they do. I think they may, but you know, the question we have first is can we even just go do alternates without either town council telling us we can do it? You know, that's the main issue. If that's a case, then we can go through the applications and go through the procedure.
okay, I should be able to.
If they're eventually going to become full members, I think they probably should have to go through the same process that a full member has to go through.
Very likely. I'll confirm that and shoot everybody an email. I'll say hopefully tomorrow, because Lori's been great about sharing information like this. So I'll do that. If it's just thumbs up, I'll likely just include the applications in that same email.
Yeah, you said there were 3 of them. Just forward it to us. We can look at them, and we'll look at them if people feel they really want to talk to folks. We can set that up too, or if there may be enough on the applications to deal with it.
Yeah, I can do
Right. Anybody else have anything they want to add, throw in there? Bueller. Okay. Guys, thank you very much for taking the time out tonight to show up at this thing. Melissa, we appreciate you, especially the input. And Charles, who may or may not still be there, but nice seeing you too. So guys, thanks. Our next meeting is probably about October? Oh, sorry, John, go ahead. Oh, John's just waving goodbye. Okay, I got it. You're on mute, so I can't hear you. But guys, okay, and that's it. Thanks again. Take care of yourselves. We'll catch you in a few weeks. And there is a meeting on Tuesday night at Mount Moriah Baptist Church about the mural. If you get a chance to go and you're not nervous about it, please go.
Let us know about the link if there's a Zoom.
Oh, well, I'll email it out to all of y'all.
Perfect.
Thanks
Thanks.
again.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank y'all.